Good afternoon once again. I welcome you to our channel Metric App. I'm sure that you are going to have a nice time and a good moment of your time where we are going to talk about economics today, paper one revision. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on your notification button for more content and to keep posted of our information as it is going to be continuously posted in our sessions here. So without wasting any time, I would want us to quickly go and answer the questions that I have posted on our board. As you can see on the board displayed there, these questions I developed them from a multiple of previous question papers that we can use. And again, I wish that you'd understand these questions and you'll be able to relate from the lessons that were done in class. So without wasting any time, we would want us to quickly answer these questions. Uh, Question 2.2 is we are working on macroeconomics. In this regard, this is paper one. So understand that paper one, we also have one key subject or one key component, which is macroeconomics. You shall see as we go with the question paper there. So the first question wants us to name any two monetary policy instruments. So I just want to reflect to you that monetary policy, this is a policy that is used by government basically to control and stimulate the availability of money, which eventually affects the economic growth or the economic response of the country and of the country as a whole. So we have got some instruments that are given or that I've just also just included there as to say repo rate or interest rates. The repo rate, I just want you to remember and just quickly understand that the repo rate, it is the rate at which commercial banks, they do borrow money from the Reserve Bank. I'm sure that one you can understand me very well. It is the rate at which the commercial banks borrow money from what? From the Reserve Bank, which is actually also an instrument that affects the availability of money within our economy. And as well as interest rates, as to say when they borrow money, they can also borrow money at what rate, at what interest rates are they going to pay back those loans or those monies that they are taking from the commercial bank, I mean from the Reserve Bank. Understand again the open market transactions, understand the minimum cash requirements, which I would want you also again to quickly reflect and get you understand that there is a certain amount of money which can be set by the Reserve Bank, as to say at the end of the time or at any given time, a commercial bank must have in its repository or in its account, as to say that that cash requirement. Let's say, for example, a bank has got 20,000 as a total money that it has, but the Reserve Bank, in order to reduce the availability of money, the Reserve Bank might say that each commercial bank must have minimum cash requirements of say 10,000. So from the 20,000 that the commercial bank has, it means only 10,000 is the one that is available for its customers. The other 10 must be readily available in the account of the commercial bank, so it can be increased or decreased with effect to how the economy is performing. So when the economy is being fast and is too fast and is becoming, or it is gonna cause inflation, the monetary policy instruments that can be used is minimum cash requirements, whereby, for instance, they would increase the minimum cash requirements that would also suck out or reduce the amount of money that the commercial banks can dispose. The moral suasion, and also as the exchange rate policy, which we are saying exchange rate policy is the value of one currency to another. For instance, we can talk about the rent, we can talk about our rand versus our US dollar What we are saying is the rate at which these monies can trade against each other, we call that exchange rate, which can be a policy that is either depending on the exchange rate system that is used, either to say free floating or or controlled or what. Therefore, the exchange rate policy, it also runs with regard to how the economy is performing. That is one other factor that we need to understand. Identify one benefit of import substitution for domestic households. Import substitution, I want you to understand that it is a control mechanism that can be implemented by the country in regard to the importation of goods or goods and services within a country. So in regard to this, what we are saying is that the government, for example, South Africa, might control the importation or the buying in of goods, I mean, the buying in of goods from other countries, where they would say, if, for example, our country, South Africa, has been importing customers and every other individuals were allowed to buy, uh, let's say, electrical appliances. The government might say we no longer allow that, or let's have one other product instead of electrical appliances, which we are saying that is import substitution. So to the household, we are talking about, as to say, the domestic consumers we are talking about. In this case, I want you to understand that we are referring to South Africans, South African, South African consumers. These are South African consumers that are being referred to, as to say they are domestic households. So we are saying when South African government, through our international trade policies, uh, just have a substitute for some certain products, how does that affect and benefit our our local consumers? So our local consumers, they benefit through more job creation, which has already been identified. The more job creation, it can also be increased income, where we are saying if jobs are there, consumers, the civilians, our South African people would have more income. We also talk about better choice of goods and services as a result of import substitution. We are saying what has been allowed to get into our borders is now being replaced by some other products. So it gives a choice of goods and services, at the same time providing a great variety of products which customers or South African consumers can choose from. So we can choose any one of those answers that are given there. Below, we have got the diagram that is illustrating the circular flow of income and spending within, or it is just a circular flow model. So from this circular flow model, I just quickly want to indicate to you that this is a closed economy. As I have marked here to say this is a closed economy. It is a closed economy, this one. The point is to say it is a closed economy. Why? Because we don't have the foreign sector, or we don't have the foreign market. The foreign market is not included into or on our movement of goods and services. We basically have three participants, which I want you to see that this is one, which is households. We have got two, government, and we have got three. Those are our three participants. The three participants which are in the economy is households, government, and also businesses. When we have got such type of participants, only those three, it actually means that it is a closed economy, because we don't have the foreign market, which is to allow the movement of goods in and out of the country, the importation and exportation of goods and services. So basically, these three participants, they interact with each other in terms of the economic viability of the country, or promoting the economic viability of the country. So in this case, each one of them or all of these, they interact in regards to the movement of factors of production, as well as the exchange or the movement of income and monies with amongst themselves. So I had just given, for example, to say, let's start with the businesses and households. The businesses and households, they are given as to say, these are our businesses that are indicated there. We are saying, what is it that they give to households? They give households income in the form of wages, in the form of dividends, in the form of interests, in the form of profits and rent. Wages, as people go to work, they are paid. Dividends, which is their uh, profit sharing, which they receive from their investments. And also, we are talking about households to businesses, households. I said that you need to understand to say these are, we talk about the consumers. Consumers, we can just give them as to say these are households. So our consumers, how do they benefit from, I mean, what is that they, what is it, how to, what is it that they do to businesses? The interaction between households or consumers and businesses is that households, they do pay payment for purchase of goods and services. We cannot be able to survive without having to buy goods and services that are produced from our various businesses. We buy foodstuffs, we buy electrical appliances, we buy IT stuff, we buy motor cars, we buy quite a lot of any other services, medical, education, insurance, banking services. We get them from those businesses. And then we have got also an interaction between the government and the business, whereby to say the government also puts some money into the economy by paying certain services from the what, from the business, which is government, what government purchases, and then businesses to government. Businesses, they also inject money into government by paying taxes, which we can talk about various taxes that we can give that are paid by personal taxi. We can talk about those variety of taxes that businesses pay for there, which also boost our government income. We have got government to households, government to households, government to households. We are saying we got social transfers, as to say our government, it supports its people, its citizens, which are given, which is through by social transfers, which are some benefits and some money transfers that are given to our people in order for them to be able to what, to improve their general upkeep. And then government to households also, they pay taxes to government. We do have such taxes. We pay rates, rent and rates. We also pay taxes as to say VAT. We also pay personal income tax and so forth, which we are saying it is collected through the SARS and stuff. All of those are examples of incomes that are, or taxes that are being paid to what, to the government. So would want to quickly answer our question, identify one injection in the diagram above. So our injection, we are talking about the way through which income is put into the circular flow model. By what, which one can that be? So we are saying this is given by what? It is the government purchases. Government purchases or government expenditure. It actually identifies what? It identifies injection. It identifies injection into the economy. It identifies injection. So we are saying government income, I mean government, sorry, government expenditure or government purchases, they are a form of injection into the economy. Name the type of economy portrayed by the above diagram. This is a three-sector economy, which I have mentioned already when I started to say 1, 2, 3, which I was pointing out here. I was marking for you that to say these are the three sector economy. Three sector economy is also defined as to what? It's one, we have got two, we have got three, which we are saying this is also called a closed. It is a closed economy, which I already marked before there. It is a closed economy. It is a closed economy because we don't have the fourth sector or the fourth participant, which is the what? The foreign sector. So we are saying it is what? It is a closed economy there. And then next question, briefly describe the term circular flow. Circular flow, actually, it actually identifies, or it is given as a model of the economy, in which is a simplification showing how the economy works. It is actually showing, it is a model that identifies or that simplifies how the economy works and the relationship between income, production, and spending in the economy as a whole, which I have already given to you that this diagram, the circular flow, it is just a continuation of exchange of factors of production between the various participants in the economy. So these various participants, which we said in this case, we have got three participants. These three participants, they are actually there in order to ensure that there is a movement of production and also economic growth, which we are saying it is showing the relationship between income, the relationship between income, which is shown there to say businesses, they pay wages and dividends to consumers. Consumers, they pay taxes to the government. Government also, it does spend government purchases to businesses. These are examples of activities that shows the relationship, which shows the relationship between what? The relationship between income, between production and also spending in the economy as a whole. So they actually shows how economic performances are taking place in the economy as a whole. That is the basic definition of a circular flow. What is the main objective with social transfers? Social transfers, these are monies that are given by government. As you can see in this case, social transfers, we are given in this case to say these are social transfers, which is a movement of money from the government to the household, to households. So the question is saying, what is the main objective of that money that is being given? It is for social upkeep or social upliftment, which we are saying one, redistribution of income, ensuring that every person has got some money at the end of the month. Those people who are we can talk about disabled, we can talk about the aged, we can talk about young children. There is an income availability there. So it has to do with the redistribution of income from the have to the have not. We have got poverty alleviation to say people, sometimes those disadvantaged ones, they are not able to afford certain services and certain functions for their lives. So for government to take care of them, they are given some social transfers that would also be there to alleviate poverty, correct imbalances of the past. If you can look in our economy, we do have some what you call, we do have some situations or some times whereby our countries were under the foreign policies or foreign management, which we can talk about the apartheid regime and stuff. So that when the government has to change, we do have a change whereby imbalances must be corrected, which is to promote equality, to say everyone must have access to the economic factors of the country. So we are saying it promotes equality, promoting equality, that is to mean to say that no one should suffer, and also close the gap between the rich and the poor. The rich and the poor, as you can see, in every month we do have our people receiving some grants. They do have some social grants, which are there in order to ensure that the ones who have and the ones who are saying the working class, the elite, and also the minority, the ones who might not have, they don't suffer. So basically we are saying a social grant or a social transfers, they are there to alleviate poverty and also close the gap between the rich and the poor, and also redistribution of the income and wealthy from the have and the have not. So basically that is what happens there. We quickly want to answer the next question. Briefly explain the importance of the factor market in the circular flow. The factor market, one, we are saying the households own the factors of production. Factors of production, I'm sure that you understand to say these factors. We can talk about the land. We have got the land. We have got the entrepreneurship skills, the entrepreneurship skills. We can talk about what is it? We are saying the lenti, the entrepreneurship skills. We are talking about income or capital. So what we are saying is that the factors of production, they are owned by what? They are owned by, we said these are called consumers. They are called consumers there. So what we are saying is that they own the factors of production and sell the factors on the input market and receive income and wages. The input market, which we are saying, they are selling these factors of production to businesses. They sell them to businesses in order for them to receive income, which is to say, for example, labor, their skills, their knowledge is being hired by businesses, which we say in that regard, people, they do have what? They do have wages. They have got rent, as to say, people have got to receive rent for their land. we have got capital, and what they do, you have to borrow money and stuff which they receive interest and also profit in return to use of intend to use in the buying goods and services. That is what we are, that is what happens there. And then businesses purchase the factors of production from the households. We are saying businesses cannot support, cannot survive. Businesses, they need factors of production from the households in the factor market to be used in the production of goods and services. So there is an exchange movement of factors of production between the consumers, which is to say the households and the businesses. The businesses must produce, their production is supposed to be facilitated by buying the factors of production from the consumers, which we talked about, as to say the skills, they have to talk about the land, they have to talk about the entrepreneur skills and stuff. So basically, we are saying those factors of production that are exchanged between the businesses. And so it is the factor marketing that is facilitating that circular flow between the two participants, consumers and also businesses. We do have an extract that has to answer the questions whereby we need to read and answer these questions. We must read and answer the questions that are below. Start the buy local and boost the South African economy. It has to do with the campaign of buying local products, so therefore we can boost our South African economy. So the Proudly South African campaign requested the support of all South African producers. South Africa currently faces the challenge of competing in an unfair global economy, as to say the economy as a whole, as to say the whole world. The South African competition that it faces, South African market that it faces there is quite heavy and difficult for it to survive. All South Africans should buy homegrown products and contribute to job creation. That is true. Our own industries need protection until they establish a base. So the government is the one that gives that protection through various measures. The Korea's giant brands like Samsung and Hyundai are not, we are saying we have got the Korea, the Korea giants brands like Samsung, we have got Samsung, we have got Hyundai, and then are not only big in their own country. They are giants also, they are also global giants and major providers of jobs. So we are saying they are causing competition within their countries and also across the borders, which we mean to say that they are quite well established. So question number one, the first question, it says, identify the challenge faced by South Africa to succeed in the international markets from the extract. One, there is quite one straightforward problem here, which we are saying South Africa faces the challenge of competing in an unfair global economy. Competing in an unfair global economy, which is given in our context or in our extract there. Competing in an unfair global economy. So South Africa faces the competition. I mean, it faces the practice. I mean, the force of what competition in the world market that is very unfair. That is the answer there. And then name one brand from the extract which is imported from Korea. Korea's giant brands we are given there, which I have already indicated there. We are given to say there is the Samsung, there is also the Hyundai that is given. So we are saying the answers are there. It is Hyundai. It can also be what? It can also be Samsung. So those are the brands that are given. So in this case, just note that the answers are found in the what? In the essay or in the what? In the paragraph or in the comprehension reference text that is above there. And then briefly describe the term protectionism. Protectionism, it refers to government policies and regulations. Government policies and regulations which are designed to benefit local producers of goods and services in their competition with imported goods, which helps them to survive the competition. So in other words, what happens there is that the government comes up with strategies and policies that tries to protect and give a shield of local producers and local businesses from the intense competition of the international well-established businesses. So it actually safeguards, they actually protect they actually make the competition less by avoiding international competition. So protectionism, it is all about government regulations and policies that has to do with protecting local producers and ensuring that they are well established and are not being monopolized, or they are not being affected by international intense competition. That is what it is. Uh, Next question. What measures can government take? What measures can government take? What measures can government take to ensure that local industries are protected? Uh, Government is that the measures that can be taken to ensure that is protected. I'm gonna just quickly. Okay, class, we continue. I was saying, what measures can government take to ensure that local industries are protected? Local industries can be protected by through the government, which is that government intervention. One, we are saying the government must install import quotas. Import quotas, these are just control measures that has to do with the amount of goods and services, especially like in terms of goods, to say how much volume of goods must enter the country. They give restrictions such as those, as to say import quotas are there, and then charge high tariffs on imported goods. These are charges that are also put in place on imported goods, to say when goods are imported, how much money those goods should pay for them to enter the country. There are also measures that discourages the movement of goods or the entrance of goods into the country. It can also ban or restrict certain goods previously imported. Like we were saying, certain goods that the government is allowed to enter the country, they can discourage them by putting strict, serious restrictions or banning those goods. Subsidy local industries, subsidize local industries. We are saying subsidizing is like to say, in it is actually a mechanism that stimulates this one. It stimulates production. It stimulates it stimulates production from the from local businesses. Local businesses can therefore be able to produce more by given some certain coverages of their cost. Government pays some costs that the local industries are incurring. In that, they are meeting the expenses and therefore promoting the production within the what within the local industries, and then enforce a local content requirement for protect. I mean to protect employment, enforce a local content requirement to protect employment, which we are saying that government would also ensure that there is a certain amount of local goods that are expected in various businesses and in various participants in the economy, such as to say that in any business that is running, there must be a certain amount of goods that are locally produced, which would also enable or sustain employment in the production of those goods which we are talking about. Instead of importing finished goods, government stimulates production and employment by ensuring that local production is what is sustained by forcing a certain requirement or a certain minimum requirement in their businesses that are operating within the borders of the country. Uh, in your opinion, how can local support boost the South African economy? Local support, how does that boost the South African economy? It boosts it by what you call how does local support boost the South African economy, such as this one, which is given above there, to say if government support the local businesses, how does that improve our local economy? Our local economy is also boosted by promoting exportation. Exportation, it increases production, surplus production, is to say that there is an increase in the production of goods and services in order to meet the foreign demand. So foreign demand is also being met, as to say more goods are produced. That is point number one. Foreign currency is empty for the country, which also enables balance of payment. We are saying this is balance of payments. A favorable balance of payment is actually supposed to be where we are saying In this case, we should have more exports and less imports. By that, we are saying more exports and then less imports. What happens there is that the country produces more. We are saying we are going to earn more income or more currency. We earn foreign currency in this case. Foreign currency is earned. Foreign currency is earned. Foreign currency is earned in this regard. Foreign currency is earned. When foreign currency is earned, we are saying it actually helps in terms of balancing payment, which we are saying that we earn more money than the money that we are spending outside the country. Hence, we have got a favorable balance of payment that would stimulate more production. In that regard, there is also employment creation. Employment opportunities are created because we are talking about sustenance of industrialization. We are saying industries are kept operational. Therefore, we have got what? We have got employment opportunities being created as a result of our industries running. Increased consumption of locally produced products takes place, which would also say that it also increases again production. It stimulates production again. This helps to stimulate, it stimulates production as well. It stimulates production as well, which is quite a good advantage in terms of producing and keeping our people happy, and their standards of living are improved as well. So that has been said. Let's quickly answer our next question. Distinguish between amplitude and trend line as features underpinning forecasting. Forecasting, we are talking about the predetermination of certain trends within the economy. These are also assisted or are analyzed through some business cycles, which has got features as those that are given. The trend line is a general direction of the economy. It actually identifies the basic direction of the economy. That is the trend line. It gives the basic direction. It also, the trend line that rises gradually will be positively sloped in the long run. This rising line indicates a growing economy. Therefore, when there is a positive sloping, it also indicates a growing economy. And then the trend line represents the average position of a business cycle. The average position is to say how far the business is operating, or the business cycle. It is also measured through the trend line that identifies the average position of a business cycle. And then the amplitude, it refers to the deviation from the trend line to the trough, which is to say the distance or the movement, the deviation, which is from the trend line. We are saying from the trend line to the trough. The trough, which we are saying those points of curves which are there on a business cycle, from the trend line to the peak of the business cycle. It shows the severity of each phase of a business cycle, as to say how much time or how serious each business phase has gone within a business cycle, where we are saying the shorter amplitude indicates a mild recession. It indicates a small, not too heated recession there. And then we also have the larger the amplitude, the more extreme the changes that would occur, which we are saying that the deviations are also seen, as to say the larger the amplitude, the more extreme the changes that would occur. If the peak is far from the trend line, it also means that the underlying causes of expansion are very strong. The peak, which is the highest point of the business cycle, which we are saying if it is far from the trend line, it means that the underlying causes, the factors that have promoting or causing factors, ne? The causing factors, what is happening with them. So in other words, what we are saying is that what we need to understand is that the trend line, these factors we are saying promoting or causing factors, we are referring to them as to say the underlying factors that are causing that have stimulated the expansion. We are saying it means that the underlying factors that have caused the expansion are very strong if the trend line is what is far from the peak. If the peak is close to the trend line, it also means the opposite, which means to say that they are what? They are weak. They are not that strong. Weak means to say they are what? Less less volatile, less strong, less strong. That's what it means. And then how can the establishment of more labor intensive industries benefit South Africa? We are talking about industries that would need a more, that requires a lot of people in their operations. How would that benefit South Africa? Industries such as, we can talk about primary industries in this regard, labor intensive industries. I want you to understand to say these are mostly primarily these are mostly primary industries. They are mostly primary industries. In other words, that one thing that we should understand to say they are mostly primary industries. They are mostly primary primary industries. Primary industries, they are mostly labor intensive. We talk about mining, we talk about agriculture, we talk about forestry. All those are kind of examples. E.g., we are talking about mining, we are talking about agriculture, we are talking about number three, we can talk about what is it, forestry, to mention but a few of them. We are saying these are examples of labor intensive industries, which we are saying they absorb a lot of people in their operations. So establishment of those labor intensive industries, it benefits South Africa by providing more jobs. It means many people are going to get jobs. We are going to have more employment opportunities, which is there because of many people are going to be hired there, improving the utilization of available resources. To say that our human resources, our people with their variety of skills, they are able to get what employment opportunities, which would enable them to be utilized in their various industries. We have given examples already. They are given the mining, agriculture, and manufacturing industries, such as steel manufacturing, are also good examples in that. Also transferring a greater variety of knowledge and skills to the workers. When these people or when these industries are there, we have got skills programs that are there, which are sometimes given by businesses or industries, where people would end up have, for example, welding skills. They can end up having some basic skills that instead of them having qualifications, we have got skills transfer that these people would have, such as also we talk about using artisans, technicians, and engineers that will lead to better economic growth. They can improve our economic performance, improving the standards of living of the citizens, which is an economic development plan, and then generating more revenue for the state via income tax. We are saying as many people are employed, government will earn more what? Government earn more what? More tax through income tax. Income government will earn more tax uh, by government. That is very true. That government tax, it also improves what? Which is also improving government budget. We also have an improvement in terms of the government budget. We have got an improvement in government budget. That is one other point that we need to understand. So these are also generating the income that the government would need, or a government basically need quite a lot. These are some of the factors that are there. We have got question 3, economic pursuits, and then answer any two aspects that can be used to differentiate country in the north and the south. This is the north-south divide. We are talking about one, the developed and the developing countries. We can give them by one, improving. One, we talk about an equal standards of living. To say countries in the north, they've got better living standards than the ones which are in the south. And then globalization inequalities, that are challenges that have to do with being able to meet and survive the international competition. That is one aspect that can also be used to differentiate these countries. As you can see from our previous questions, South Africa, as given in our question there, was indicated as in a country that is having a problem in balancing or surviving the unfair global competition. So globalization, which is the running of businesses by countries as a whole in one magnet, as one market, as one business operation, it becomes a challenge. And then also the environmental sustainability, which is also given there. We are saying there are also other points that needs to be noted there. What is the relationship between economic growth and economic development? In that regard, I wish that you understand that economic growth should ensure more job opportunities, and also it also ensures that income to more households, that's leading to improvement and also to standards of living. That's what you need to understand. And then we are given this, start the information below and answer the questions. Growth and development plans of South Africa. Is the light at the end of the tunnel? Is there light at the end of the tunnel? That is just a question. Not yet, but it is coming. That is now new plans. So we are given that, as to say, the National Development Plan, NDP, foresees a South Africa where everyone feels free yet bounded to others, where everyone embraces their full potential, to say whatever everyone has as a potential can be realized. Realizing such a society will ensure uh, transformation of the economy and focused efforts to build the country's capabilities. Poverty and inequality should be reduced, and the economy must grow faster in ways that benefit all South Africans. Uh, the Reconstruction and Development Program (RDP), on the other hand, was an integrated, coherent socio-economic policy framework structured around its overall goal, namely a better life for all. That is our contextual question that is given here. So let's quickly answer the questions that are following. Identify one growth and development plan for South Africa from the extract. I just even seen it there that from our contract from our extract, it is shown that we have got the National Development Plan as indicated there. It is indicated that we have got the National Development Plan as an example of what one growth and development plan for South Africa, National Development Plan. Also, we also have the RDP. These are growth initiatives that South Africa put in place, which we can give there. In regard to this context, we have got these as given, two of them. And then what is the main aim of the RDP, the Reconstruction Development Plan? We are saying it actually focuses on the improvement of lives of majority of South Africans, also better life for all. The Reconstruction Development Plan, it actually focuses on bettering the lives of all South Africans, and that is to say the majority of South Africans, many of South Africans have better lives. That is what we are saying in that regard there. And then what message is depicted in the cartoon above in an economic context? The question says, is there light at the end of the tunnel? And then there is also a response which says there is little but not yet. From this contextual reference, is there light at the end of the tunnel? Not yet, but it is coming. So the question that is asked here is that what is the message depicting in the cartoon in an economic context? We are saying there is the context of saying, or the reference is that as to reference to growth and development plans of South Africa. People are in limbo. They are not sure that people are living under conditions of poverty, or there is what oroleki. We can say poverty oroleki, but however there is expectation of change. People are living in conditions of lack, but they are also expecting some positive changes. That is what it is in that regard, as to say there is no light, but there is little light showing there. And then what role did RDP play in the improvement in the lives of the people since 1994? These are just to say the development initiatives that came up as a result of the RDP program, the Reconstruction and Development Program. We are saying one, it managed to meet the basic needs of people. We are talking about one, the housing, housing program. People built some shanty and developed houses, and then the government came and then reconstructed those houses. Increased infrastructure development. We talk about this as to say example social services, e.g., we can talk about water, we can talk about electricity, we can talk about roads as examples that are infrastructural development that are found there, where reconstruction and development program has taken place. We have got water, we have got those, even in terms of even housing themselves, houses. There are a good infrastructure that are there. We also have even shops and malls that are built there. We have got shops, malls are built there, which also we can also have also banks that are also there as examples of that, laid the foundation for sustained economic growth and job creation. As you can see, local people were employed. This has to do with employment of local individuals, people within the areas where businesses were done, employment of local individuals. That has to be a function or an advantage which came up as a result of what RDP program. Development of developed human resources. This has to do with the skills. People had to come up with, or they earned certain skills as a result of, for example, we can talk about bricklaying, e.g., we can talk about bricklaying. We can talk about even welding. We can talk about plumbing. Quite a lot of these examples of skills or end skills were as a result of what they were as a result of the reconstruction development program that we are talking about. Ensure the safety and security of South African citizens and state, as to say people could also trust the country as in terms of their safety and security because of the provision of such services. Transform the government to reflect development and people-centered nature of democratic state. Therefore, we are saying we are talking about the availability of resources, also to say everyone managed to have access to economic resources of the country. Economic resources of the country. These were also as a result of everyone managed to get to have access to economic resources of the country, which we are saying it is as a result of a democratic state, a people-centered approach that the government has to come up with in order of ensuring that there is some growth initiatives or some redressing the past imbalances, and then the new paradigm that is there, which has to do with improvement of the South African people. And then, in your opinion, how can the National Development Plan bring about a better life for all? It can. We talk about one can fully transform the economic activities of the country. We talked about that to say the National Development Program. It has to do with identifying poorly developed areas and then emancipating them, both the services and also the people. So it has to do with transformation of economic activities. That is one other advantage that we can talk about. It can assist in the transformation of the overall mindset of all South Africans in realizing that everybody will be judged according to his or a potential and ability, which is to say that people could be given access to showcase their talent. We talk about the uh, access to development of talents and also to be hired and also to use them. Reduction of poverty, which we are saying poverty alleviation, poverty alleviation, which is also one good advantage in that regard, poverty alleviation, and then also an inequality and also reduction of inequalities to say they have and have not uh, have equal access to resources. Have has the gap was they have and have not have an improved access to resources. They have an improved access to resources. That is quite a good advantage in that context. Good access to resources, just to say it managed to bring the bridges the gap, or it bridges the gap between the poor and the rich, bridging the gap between the rich and poor. That is one good advantage, again, bridging the gap between the rich and the poor in the society. That is also one good advantage that we cannot nullify in this regard. It's also a good advantage that we cannot nullify there. So what we are saying is that those are some of the advantages that are there to do with National Development Plan. Start the extract below and answer the questions that follows. Africa must diversify. That is to say, Africa must have uh, a variety of ways of doing of business rather than focusing on one approach. So the Minister of Trade and Industry has called for the African economy to diversify in order to attract foreign direct investment. He warned that economic integration in Africa was facing a threat if infrastructure development did not take place. Economies were inward looking and focused on the exports of raw materials to show up its gross domestic production or product. The recent global slump in oil and commodity prices due to slowing demand, particularly from China, required a new approach to doing business on the continent that will be consumer consumption based, is to say that it has to focus on the consumption. Consumption must be the primary motive that defines production. Countries should diversify into common market. That is the questions. So, I mean, the context. According to the Minister of Trade and Industry, why is it important for African countries to diversify? Diversification, basically, we are saying one good answer that is there, which is given in our context, is that it has to do with what attraction of foreign direct investment. We talk about such issues that is indicated there in the context, such as the idea of Chinese markets and stuff. What new approach should countries follow in doing business? This has to be, I identified it there, which we are saying that there must be consumer based. It must be a consumer based, focusing on business, and then we are saying this must be consumer based, a new approach doing business on the continent, which is given is to say it is this one, consumer based production, consumer-based production. So we are saying it is consumer-based as a new approach, consumption-based as to say what is it that customers or the public want, the civilian wants the most, is the one that must define the production. Briefly describe the concept common market. Common market we are talking about, it refers to countries that are part of a common market, enhances their free movement of labor, capital, and money between borders of member countries, or people may work and live where they wish in a common market. So in other words, we can talk about saying, let's talk about Africa as an example. Uh, that would mean to say people who are from any other countries can come to South Africa. South Africans also can go to any other African countries doing business and working there without any hindrances or without any legal restrictions that would disturb them because they are out of the borders or they are immigrants. So it has to do with the free movement of factors of production within and outside the borders of the country, of the member states of that common market. That is one good thing that is there. It has to do with free movement of labor, or we can talk about factors of production between borders of the member states or members of the country, and then people can also live and work wherever they want within that common market. That as one other thing that we need to understand. Give one reason why developing countries diversify as part of their import substitution policies. Why developing countries diversify as part of their import substitution policies. One, we are saying the industrial base of their economy need to be strengthened and expanded. Uh, in other words, why developing countries diversify as part of their import substitution policy, as to say increasing their product range, it enables them to help them in the point of saying the economy need to be what, to be strengthened and expanding the economy and strengthening it. This will also make them less dependent. Diversification also makes them to be less dependent on foreign countries and give them more control over their economy. That is also one other thing. As you can see, we are talking about developing as countries that are not yet well developed, third world countries. And also it helps to cut out the risk of world fluctuations in price and demand problem that would also arise in terms of diversification as a measure of import substitution. Rather than focusing on one product, we have got a variety. Therefore, we can be able to what, to look on other areas when price fluctuations have taken place. Inexperienced manufacturers cannot compete with others. That justifies protection measures again, as in terms of this to say, instead of as part of diversification, why is that we can talk about developing countries also might take import substitution, diversify as they can also diversify as part of what, import substitution. So we are saying it is also in a measure to safeguard inexperienced manufacturers from the third world countries, which are unable to also compete with the giants, as we have seen above there. That is just to reduce competition from them. How can South Africa benefit by focusing on value-added production? Value addition, this is a production process or a production system whereby certain raw materials are semi-processed or are processed. So therefore, when they are being sold, they will be sold at a better, higher price. That is value addition, to say raw materials are being worked on in order to just semi-process them or process them such that they can add value. So it helps in what South Africa can benefit by establishing export-driven industries. To say when those products are semi-processed or processed, we can also be able to export them to other industries that are there, creating more employment opportunities in the process of same processing or processing them. There are opportunities of employment that can be created there, and then improving free trade by establishing new trade partners, which we are saying that either some countries that we would need to export to or that we need to do international trade with, they can also provide free trade relationships because of value addition. That is what it is saying. An example, we talk about the BRICS. I think you have heard of quite a lot of times where we talk about the BRICS summit in Johannesburg and so forth and so forth. Discuss competitiveness and investment in human capital as a benchmark strategies for industrial development. Competitiveness and investment in human capital, as to say the competitiveness and investment in human capital, how can it be used as a reference of strategy or a benchmark or as a measurement for strategies for industrial development? One, there is competition. Companies are more focused, innovative, and effective if competition is present. That is one point there. And then we talk about this improves the overall quality of the manufactured goods or manufactured products. If we are talking about if there is what you call competitiveness and investment in that regard. It in terms of human capital, we also improve the overall quality of goods that are produced. As with technological advancement, high quality products can more easily be exported and compete on the international market or international levels. That is one other point that is there, which we can talk about, saying an investment investment in human capital. Technological advancement is taking place. So in order for our countries to, or in order for us to have a good standard in terms of industrial development, we need to develop, or we need to have a strong investment in our human resources, that is human capital. Human capital, we are just talking about what? Human resources. We are talking about human resources. That is what it means. And then human capital, the human capital, we are talking about the development of human capital through skills development is for critical importance anyway, is of critical importance, as skilled employees are more productive than untrained people. That is why we talk about technical college, we talk about various levels of training that we have got in our formal education system. They are basically there in order to empower our human resources in for them to have got better skills. By investing in human capital, a country is assured of what? Of having long-term economic growth. That is also quite understandable to say that long-term long-term economic growth can take place because our people can be able to transfer their skills into the various industries and businesses, which would also help in terms of industrial development of given states. So we are saying those are also good advantages or good points that we can give there. How can the development of small businesses benefit the South African economy? Development of small businesses can benefit the South African economy by one, providing guidance to create employment for structurally unemployed people that might lead towards a more inclusive economy. That is to say that everyone can be able to secure and get employment, where we are saying informal, small, or whatever size of businesses, they actually create employment for our employed people, which we can need to understand with regard to the national development plans, as in terms of the empowerment of our people there. Promoting entrepreneurial skills among women and the youth in the rural areas where unemployment is very high. Therefore, we are talking about entrepreneurial development. It's another advantage which is brought up by the development of small businesses, where we can talk about haircut, uh, hairdressing, we can talk about carpentry, we can talk about maybe poetry, we can talk about any other maybe different dressmaking or whatsoever. Those small businesses, they help to empower our people with skills, especially in rural areas or in business centers which are not towns. Therefore people can also have what some skills that would enable them to survive. Helping in the diversification of economy by promoting the upliftment of a variety of skills, which I already alluded to there, that we have got upliftment of skills there, and then enhancing competition most needed to benefit the consumer price wise. Competition must be there, which would also enable to neutralize variety of it actually nullifies monopolization of businesses or monopolization of markets. Competition, it also empowers, it empowers business performance. It empowers business performance. Competition, that is one good advantage that we can also need to look at there. And then that is a good advantage as in terms of the development of small businesses, empowers performance of businesses, performance of businesses. Businesses can perform better because as a result of what? As a result of as a result of this what you call, as a result of this growth of small businesses, transfer of skills and so forth. I'm sure that can also really make some good understanding in our context. So what we are saying is that these are advantages of small business growth. Let's quickly just have our next question. Suggest one way in which South Africa can be freed from inequality. Inequality, we are talking about uh, the differences that would exist within the South African population, differences between the rich and the poor. So, in what ways can that be reduced? One, fair distribution of national income. You have heard up there where the government talks about various types of taxes that are levied to both businesses and also individuals. That is one advantage of what ensuring that we transfer money from the rich to the poor by what? By taxing and then fair distribution of income, e.g., taxing businesses and rich people. They are a good example there. And then we talk about creation of employment opportunities. It also helps to free the inequality that we gave an example of national development plans that are there. Uh, national development plans that I gave up there is as another example there also, which creates employment, the RDP programs and stuff. You have an investor friendly and regulation. I mean, you have an investor friendly legislation that will attract foreign direct investment. Foreign direct investment, uh, foreign direct investment. Foreign direct investment is quite important. Again, it helps in provide employment opportunities, which would also help in terms of avoiding or reducing the poverty of the country. Provide education and training. That is quite important. So therefore, people can have skills and it becomes employable to be employable as well. Those are some of the examples that we can give in this context. Encourage entrepreneurship. That also is important, as we have seen above there, as we talked about the importance of development of small businesses. Entrepreneurship, it ensures that our businesses are able to our people are able to have various skills that can enable them to survive instead of them depending on the government. How can human resources be targeted to be more effective in solving the problem in the cartoon above? What is happening is that in this cartoon we are saying it was it has to do with the emphasis on more emphasis should be placed on what? On education, which receives the biggest slice of budget expenditure to benefit all involved education. I think this actually it is just a cartoon that was illustrating the emphasis on education, which is actually given a bigger slice of the budget expenditure that will benefit in terms of the education program there. And then major partners in the private sector should take responsibility to accommodate workers skilled on different levels and focus on manufacturing using labor-intensive production method. I'm sure that if you can remember this, we are having a cyclical repetition of questions that are being given back and forth as to say labor-intensive production, how does it help in terms of improving our people and stuff. Therefore, we are saying it absorbs many people, which can actually be a good advantage in skills development, in employment opportunity, in terms of improvement of the standards of living, and many other points. Briefly discuss special economic zones as part of South Africa's industrial development plan. We have got various industrial development plans there, which we can give, and then we have got the special economic zones that is given here. Discuss them as part of South Africa's industrial development plan. Geographically demarcated area where specific economic activities have been identified to be developed. These are called special economic zones. We are saying they are geographically identified and boundarized, or they are demarcated and marked, where we are saying specific economic activities are identified, and then those economic activities must be what? Must be developed, which must be developed in that regard. So we are saying there are special economic zones that are to say, we say that these areas may enjoy incentives such as tax relief. We talk about support systems. We talk about promote industrial development, that it creates a basis for broader range of industrial parks, which we also actually need in terms of what industrial development plan. Industrial development plan, you should understand to say these plans has to do with industrial development. So as we look into that, we are saying it creates a basis for broader range of industrial parks, which also provides economic infrastructure to enable the effective clustering of value addition and employment enhancing manufacturers. Economic infrastructure, there is a chance for that to take place because we are saying that specific economic activities are taking place in some specifically geographically demarcated regions which are having that potential. So for those economic activities to take place, there must be, of course, infrastructure development, which would also boost the coming together of value-adding businesses and employment enhancing manufacturers. That are those things. That is the definition of special economic zones. And then the aims are to promote rapid development by acting as a magnet for investment in key growth areas. That is to say that development can take place very fast, which is because of the specific demarcated region that has been identified, and then resources for the development of the region and the place that is identified is being channeled there. Then it actually promotes rapid development, which is also as a magnet for investment, which would cause parasitic industries to come into play into those areas, boosting up the growth areas, enable the development of new industrial regions through the establishment of new industrial hubs in underdeveloped regions and strengthening of existing ones. It is just a relationship that comes also into play to say that well-established businesses, they will interplay and interlink to the new industrial hubs that are being identified in the underdeveloped regions. Therefore, those industrial, I mean, those established ones or old ones would also service the new ones, also promoting and establishing a mutual relationship that would be at the end of the day promote industrial development plans that the country will be focusing and targeting to achieve. And then special economic zones are also used for the purposes such as export promotion, enterprise development, urban renewal, as to say that we can just improve our urban areas, which are regions or places that were not fully active, and also rural development and domestic or regional production. That is also other factors or advantages that can be given as what as aims of special economic zones. How can South Africa benefit from trading in global markets? Is to say, if South Africa is to trade in international markets, how can that benefit it? What are the benefits in that regard? What are the benefits of being in a global market for South African market, for South African industries or businesses? One, we are saying partaking more intensively in free trade that will fuel efficiency through elimination of extra cost and wastage. Free trade is going to be given there, which eliminates extra cost. We are saying extra cost is eliminated because of free trade, such as to say the trade costs which are implied in terms of border entries of goods and services when our services are being our products are being exported, that is reduced, or it is being nullified, which fuels efficiency there in terms of business, and also reducing wastage. Again, wastage is reduced as a result of what? Intensively participating in free trade that is being given as a result of globalization, and then pursuing lower prices, which will also benefit the local consumers. Uh, our businesses can also focus, can also try to follow those businesses which have got lower prices, which also benefits, that benefits our local what? Our local people. Our local people benefit from that. These are our consumers. And then in the satisfaction of a greater variety of goods and wants. I'm sure that you can as well believe with me and understand that there are quite a lot of goods and services that are imported from across countries as a result of what? As a result of international markets. To say that we cannot have everything that we have in South Africa, we need to have international market in order for us to satisfy the greater variety of wants that our people have. Therefore, it's an advantage of participating in global markets. Again, accessing more goods and services produced in other countries, which also increases the variety of choice. I'm sure that we have got a variety of consumer preferences and tastes. There are quite a lot of those which are also as a result of globalization. We are exposed to international media and stuff. For that reason, our people would also have a lot of insatiable wants or insatiable likes of goods and what and services, which would also need to be satisfied by global markets. That also assists local producers to increase production by selling into international market. We have got our local businesses, our national businesses would also be able to sell internationally and then employ more domestic factors of production, which is also employment of creation of employment, and then which limit unemployment and have a positive effect on the standards of living of people. Therefore, better living standards are earned. Better living standards for our local people as a result of global markets, as a result of global markets, better living standards for our local people. It is because of employment creation. It is because of the employment opportunities that we have talked about. We have been talking about an increase in production capacities, and then eventually we are saying these all assist our local people to enhance themselves, also having a variety of choices which they can choose from, as variety of goods and services can be accessed or can be provided from international markets. I thank you so much for your time and all the best in your revision and in your preparatory and final national examinations. Do not forget to subscribe, to like, and also turn on your notification buttons so therefore you can keep connected to our next presentations and episodes of lectures that would come soon. All the best and have a very good day. I thank you.